The triple tax benefit that 88% of people are ignoring. Yeah, you heard that right. So what tax benefit are people just missing out on entirely? Well, I'm assuming you're saving to your 401k, and I'm guessing potentially even your Roth IRA as well. But based on the numbers, I would assume you are not saving into a health savings account, an HSA. But I think there are really compelling reasons why you should consider it. So if you want to save every nickel you can in taxes and you want to cut the government out, this is the video. Because today we're going to talk about the benefits of funding a health savings account. We're going to talk about the triple tax favored advantages. We're going to talk about the rules and limits that we want to make sure and follow. And finally, why this health savings account can be a huge part of your long-term financial plan. Hey, but first, take 3 seconds and hit subscribe down below. In exchange for that, here's a picture of me as a kid riding a horse, which I think I rode for about 3 seconds until I got clotheslined. Yeah, literally, the horse kept going and I got stopped under a clothesline. And since then, I just don't like doing laundry. So thanks for subscribing. All right, let's get into it. So when we think about funding a health savings account that's triple tax deferred, that's even better than generally a Roth IRA or 401k, in that 401ks is pre-tax on the way in, tax deferred, but it is taxed on the way out. Roth IRAs are taxed on the front end. HSAs, it's tax-free on the front end, tax-free growth, and tax-free distributions, triple tax-free as long as you follow the rules. It's even better than a Roth or a traditional IRA, 401k, all the rest. Pretty cool. So let's start with why health savings accounts are so cool. And it essentially boils down to taxes. I'm not going to show you a way to save potentially $1,000. I'm not even going to show you a way to save potentially $10,000. If we follow the math, you could save upwards of $100,000 by funding these accounts in taxes over time. So let's get into a nerdy spreadsheet and I'll show you exactly why that's the case. So if we're funding a health savings account today, the funding limits for 2023 are $3,850 for an individual or $7,750 for a family. So we're going to assume the family, and let's say if you save into a health savings account every year from age 40 to age 65. So here we are, 40 to age 65, and this is our big spreadsheet that helps us understand and look. So some other assumptions, we're saying, okay, the money we put in, we can actually invest while we're in that health savings account. So let's assume over time we can earn about 8% long-term on our money. Of course, we're taking risk, ups and downs, but over time we can get 8%. I think that's a reasonable rate of return long-term. Let's say we're in a 32% tax bracket. And let's say the contribution limit goes up by about $100 a year, so we can put more and more money in as inflation kind of brings that account up over time. So here we go. This is kind of annually what we put in to the account, and this is the cumulative contribution. So we start out with $7,750, and it grows, so we've put in about $245. So a little less than $500,000 is what you put in over that 25-year period. Well, at 8%, your account has grown to $491. So almost $500,000 is left in the account after that 25-year period. So cool, but now let's talk about the tax implications or tax savings that a health savings account helped us with. So first off, the $245,000 was a tax deduction in those years, and at 32%, that saved us a big amount there, and then plus all of the gain, the almost $250,000 of gain. So here we are, we have $491,000 in the account, $246,000 of which is gain, and a cumulative tax savings, meaning the contributions tax savings plus the capital gains tax savings. You're looking at saving over $115,000 over the course of that 25-year period in taxes alone. Yeah, over 6 figures in tax savings just by funding a health savings account. Well, wait a minute, Tyler. Isn't this the type of account that if you put money in, it's use it or lose it, you have to use it by the end of the year? No. That's a flexible spending account. That's an FSA. Don't let the similarities confuse you. An HSA is completely different, meaning you can fund an HSA and you can keep that account for your entire lifetime. And if you die and there's still money left, yeah, you can leave it to a beneficiary. Not a problem at all. So these accounts you get to keep forever. So the next big question is, okay, that's a lot of money in health savings, but how do I take the money out? Good question. So distributions have to be for qualified medical expenses. Well, what are qualified medical expenses? I'm glad you asked. So here's a list of qualified medical expenses. It starts all the way up here with AA meetings and it goes all the way to automobile modifications. But my favorite is the anti-itch creams or even the anti-gas medicines. In other words, this is a slide with all these things on it, and these only cover the A's. Meaning there are 25 other letters with lists of things. So the list is pretty darn exhaustive. It's pretty darn big. You can go to healthequity.com. They have a really good list that you can look at specifically what medical expenses are eligible as qualified medical expenses. But needless to say, there's a lot here. But that's not all. What if you came to me and said, hey, what if I never have medical expenses? Is all that money in there taxed and penalized if I don't use it for qualified medical expenses? Well, another qualified medical expense is actually Medicare premiums. Yeah, that's right. So even if you're healthy and you never buy anti-gas medication or anything else, you could use the funds in your HSA for Medicare premiums when you're 65 or older and go on Medicare. So what that looks like is if you're in a lower tax bracket, you're going to be paying at least $165 or so every single month. And what we see on the next slide is as your income goes up, monthly income goes up as well. Meaning if you're in the highest tax brackets there are, you could be paying over $600 a month each in Medicare premiums. So if you're in the lower tax brackets, this is how much it would cost single, and this is how much if you're married, a couple would cost. So roughly $4,000 a year here in 2023, but it could be as expensive as over $15,000. So in other words, those HSA funds could be used to fund Medicare premiums, even if you're healthy as a fiddle. So now that we agree it's a good deal to fund an HSA, triple tax favored advantages, and we agree that qualified medical expenses, you can probably find qualified medical expenses to use, can anyone just fund an HSA? And the answer is no. You need to make sure you are on a high deductible health plan. In other words, we need to look at the deductibles on your health insurance to make sure you qualify to fund these. So here's the first thing is HSA contribution limits are up here, but here's the minimum deductible for 2023 as a self-only coverage or a family-only coverage. You need to make sure your minimum deductible and maximum out-of-pockets are minimum deductible of $3,000 and maximum out-of-pocket of $15,000 here to be able to qualify and fund a health savings account. All right, so what percentage of people can fund a health savings account? And here we are. The numbers have gone up, meaning from 2013 to 2021, only 30% of people were enrolled in a plan that was eligible. Today, over half of people are enrolled in a high deductible plan that is eligible to fund a health savings account. So more than likely you are. Check with your employer, check with your plan and make sure, but it's a really great idea to save in taxes by funding these accounts over time. So why aren't people taking advantage of an HSA? I don't know. It's like the government is handing out king-size candy bars and people are acting like it's liver and onions. Well, take your candy bar. Go fund an HSA. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.